Hi guys, welcome back. This is Matt Chat episode 148, featuring the final installment of my interview with the Fat Man, aka George Sanger. In this part of the interview, we talk about the art and philosophy of game audio, as well as the questions that you guys submitted on the previous episodes. Got a lot of great stuff here, so without further ado, here is Mr. George Sanger. All right then, let's move into, I have some more fan questions here. One is from Akira, I believe this is Akira Cassius. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this, but he wants to know if you have advice for people who want to get into video game composing and sound design work.
Boy, I hate to be hawking my goods so much, but all the advice, all the good advice, I have got a lot of advice.
Get the book.
And it's all the good stuff is in the book. Right. So it's e-published on Kindle. Go to Kindle, Amazon Kindle, and download the e-version of The Fat Man on Game Audio, Tasty Morsels of Sonic Goodness. And the main thing to know, here's a couple of tidbits. One is that there are a lot of butts and not very many seats in the game audio business. It's a very, very competitive area. The secret to it, I think, is kindness. Be good to people. Don't close any doors behind you. Help people out. Get into the community. If you want people to know that you're good at doing game audio or anything else, there's a chapter in the book called How to Understand Everything. Game audio, it's just a wrapper around which I put, philosophies of everything. It's not a game audio book. It's a crackpot philosophy book and the story of my life, and it should be fun for anybody to read. Come on, George, get it back. You can do this. There's a lot of buttons. Let's just see.
Be nice to people.
It'd be nice to people. If it works, if it bends, it's funny. If it breaks, it's not. Give me a second. I can land this plane. Yeah. Go to Virt, V-I-R-T, also known as. Let's go Game Music Virt. I think he's also. Man, I can't think of his regular name. Find his page and look at how his website is laid out to just show that he is really, really into game music and just does it and does it and does it and is unstoppable. If you want to be known as a good game music guy, be a good game music guy, live for game music, and make it apparent the way that Virt does that that it is your life, and people will come to you. Do the work, do the practice, no matter what it is, and they'll find you. If you're the jazz game music guy, do jazz game music, and people will come to you at some point and say, "Hey, I heard you're the jazz game music guy. I need your work." And also, if you're doing what you love, make sure you're doing what you love. And if you are, then even if you never make a dime at it, you've spent the hours of your life doing what you love. Jake Kaufman is Virt. That's his name.
So just working with other game audio people, do you find that they are happy to be game audio people, or is it a case where they really want to be up on the stage, performing in front of a big orchestra or a rock band? I mean, what separates a game audio person just from a musician?
There's an answer in my heart and an answer that comes from observation. The answer in my heart is a beautiful one, and the observation is a little bit sad. The observation is that there are a lot of people in game audio who are very beat down, who have accepted that they are third-class citizens. They're providing a service, that they have to deliver what people tell them to deliver. And they have to work really, really hard to do it and really not get paid very much. And essentially they're providing a background to the game They're not really being asked their opinion of what to put into the game. They're not provided with the technology that they need. And they've succumbed to this idea that in the best of all cases, they would be imitating something that's already been done, and that no one would really notice them, and the game would be somehow better. I really don't think that's the best way to put music into a game. And in my heart, I still want to believe that out there are people making small games, people who have confidence in their own artistic ability and confidence in their own ability to make a game or to make music for a game, that there are plenty of opportunities to do something that's new and different. We haven't, as game audio guys, we haven't had our Woodstock yet. So a lot of us guys sitting around thinking, well, we're just mining troglyte underneath the Cloud City, you know? When really, no, we're building a future that's still, it can't be stopped. We can make the music we want. We just got to find the games and the clients that'll let us do it. And when we do it, people will hear it and catch on. Witness Katamari Damacy. You know, that is really special music. It's way out there. The philosophy of the producer was, hey, music guy, do what you want. And it came out great. And there are other people falling in line and trying to follow it. If you want to be somewhere else and you're a game audio guy, go somewhere else, please. You know, when I do my game music, I want to be doing what I'm doing. So hang in there. Hang in there, you other game audio guys. And if you're thinking about getting into the business, don't let them clobber you. Go in with the attitude of, you know, go in with the attitude that you have something to put on the table, figure out what that is, and keep pushing it up a notch. Keep making it better than they asked for. Bring them stuff for free. Give them things that they never heard of. Do things that you haven't been hired to do. Do things that, like Vert does, like Jake does. Make game music for a game that doesn't exist yet. But do what you do. And don't be discouraged. If you're discouraged, do what you like to do. Find out what it is that you like to do and do it. You only live so long.
It sounded like a morsel of sonic goodness if I've ever heard one. I got a weird question here. I don't know what to make of it, but I thought I would just put it out there. Maybe you understand the context of this better than I do. It's a question from Rowdy Rob. He says that he wants you to choose one: a bedsheet, a unicycle, or a dog.
Nice. Thank you, Rowdy Rob. That's very good. I actually became enlightened right then thinking about it.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Now I get it. It's all so simple. All right, next question.
All right, this is Ham and Cheese 30910, and it's Hammond, like the Hammond organ cheese. He wants to know, what was it like creating music for humongous entertainment games?
That was fun. They gave us a lot of support, and I would say we were kind of at our peak as a team doing the music for Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo. So, and what it was like was they would call us up, tell us what the musical requirements are, more or less, in terms of how much time each tune would be, under what, what scene it would play during. And the best thing was that they were pretty quick to put our music into the game and send us back a playable version of the game with the music in it. And so we had a lot of feedback. They gave us a lot of freedom. And they would occasionally ask for things that would stimulate my competitive instinct. So they would send like a couple of lyrics for a kid's tune. And I would say, no, that's no good. I said, I'm going to write you a real tune. And you're going to write a video to it. And it's going to be the first music video in a game.
We are the Topiary creatures. We're very pleased to meet you, senors and senoritas too. The animals we feature, you know, would never eat you. We sing so very sweet to you. Welcome to the zoo, 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 with the kangaroos, and the tigers too, Welcome to the zoo, zoo, zoo. So show them subway lions, come in and see our clients.
And then the really kind of fun character part of it would come up, because Ron Gilbert didn't like that attitude, but he knew that it was a good idea. So he'd say, okay, George, yeah, we'll do it. Okay, we'll do it. And I'd say, and I want you to, and I said, I'm not going to charge you more for this. I said, but in exchange, you've got to put a picture of me in the game somewhere. And so he like covered it. He yells to the guy next to him. He says, you know that billboard you're working on, Bill? He says, yeah. He says, put a really goofy looking fat man in a red cowboy, a really goofy looking guy in a red cowboy suit, and say it's the Fat Man in Team Fat. He goes, okay. So that's in there. A few years after the game came out, Ron Gilbert sent me an email and he said, I hate you. I said, why? He said, because my niece is playing Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo, and all she wants to do is click on the topiary creatures over and over and over and over. So I really respect Ron Gilbert. He does great work, but he just did not like the idea of the music being in any way more liked than anything else in the game. It just annoyed the crap out of him, which is fun. It kind of feels like you're in a Lennon-McCartney situation, you know? It's like, well, he's not going to tell me to stop doing what I'm doing. He's going to try to outdo me. When they start, sometimes they start trying to stop you from doing what you're doing. If it's too good, if people like it too much, sometimes they try to make you take it down a notch. I think it's really healthy when they take their end up a notch.
Yeah, just thinking about his Monkey Island game, almost everybody, the first thing they say about it is the music in the game is so great. In the Maniac Mansion, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder he's developed a complex about that.
Oh, yeah, what is his complex about that? Oh, about the music, yes. Oh, good point. Man, no kidding. I hadn't looked at it like that. Yeah, he's getting pummeled, isn't he? You know, I was hanging out with Michael Land one time, and he said, George, I want to show you something. Michael Land did the music to Monkey Island, and he and his team did. And he pulls out this sheet that's like a treasure map. It's got all these little circles on it, and it says, you know, singing pirates. Pirates stop singing. I think that's Monkey Island 3, isn't it? Or is it 2? But it's got all the rooms from the game all charted out, and then it's got all these color marker things on it, circles and arrows and all kinds of stuff all over it. And he said, this was what the music team used. This piece of paper was our map to everything. This is how we decided what was going to transition to what. We used this all the time for everything in that game. And I said, are you done with it now? He says, yeah. And I grabbed it out of his hand and yelled, "Coo!" He goes, what? I said, it's mine now. So it had been up in my bathroom for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And it's the only thing that my son wants when I'm dead. I can't donate it to the video game archive because it's got to be my son's, because he loves it so much. So it's being kept in trust for him now. But you can find pictures of that here and there. I think there's one in my book.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was one of the songs I found on your website, Metal Chicken Suit. You know, it's described as a parody of gaming and gamers. I really like this track a lot, and I was just wondering what's the story behind this?
Cyber Strike 3. That was a difficult game to work on. They hired me to do when they hired me to do music, I said, well, you need more music than you're planning on. They said, how much music do we need? I said, 69 minutes. And so they hired me to do 69 minutes worth of music. Well, I did 69 minutes worth of music. They made me redo it. I did it again. I gave them a lot more than 69 minutes of music because they were paying me a good rate. But they never liked any of the background music that we were given from the game. In fact, none of the background music that we gave them for the game got into the game. Only thing that got in was the background stuff for the cinematic scenes, which they gave us at the very, very, very last minute. So it's all stuff that I did like overnight. But it got in and it was well done. But in the meantime, there was a third track going besides the background music and the music for cinematics. I was doing my thing again. I was saying, well, you need songs in there. And they're like, no, George, we don't need songs. I said, you need songs. There are 3 races. I got to write a song for each of the races. And they're like, no. So there was one song that they really liked. There was another song that they kind of didn't like. And there was one song that they hated, which is Metal Chicken Suit. I think it exposed too much. It broke the third wall. It broke the fourth wall. It broke one of those walls. So long, Mom, I see the end has come, and now I'm goose-stepping down the wormhole ahead of the bomb. I got burned, and now the worm has turned, and my target's set on you, babe, for doing me wrong. It's a love story, and it's a story about the game, and it's a story about gamers. So it's about people who are kind of hiding their feelings, but working out their frustrations by dressing up in metal chicken suits and blowing the crap out of each other. It's hard for us as game designers to laugh at ourselves, I think. But they didn't like that one, and I think that I got kind of the rights to it back. But they did use the Jebediah one. See, they've got a character called Jebediah Brightman, who was the first person to go into the wormhole to the new planet, which was called Eden for a while, but I think it was called something else later. And they set up their race. So they're like these religious zealots. And I thought, well, what kind of person would follow a religious zealot into a wormhole to set up a new civilization? So I developed this guy who was like a total loser, but really adored Jebediah Brightman. So I wrote an ode to him, to Jebediah, and every line rhymes with fire. and Jebediah. And I think that you'll like that one too. That one's called, I think I said it just a minute ago. You got to go under to be pure. I think it's called You Got to Go Under. And I learned to play. I relearned to play. I learned to play French horn for that one, which is fun because once I was done with that, then I gave Metal Chicken Suit to Joe McDermott, also Team Fat, and he said, "I don't like your mix. I'm going to remix it." He remixed it. He put his guitar solo on it, and he learned to play saxophone for that one. So you hear him playing sax all over it, even though he's not a sax player. It's very cool. Good teamwork. And the drummer is fantastic on that one, too. The drummer and the bass player are legends.
I just wondered how many instruments you know how to play. I mean, is it in the thousands?
I guess if you really fudged the numbers, it could be in the thousands.
What's the most exotic instrument?
I can play sitar pretty well, but it's not a hard instrument to play. It's a hard instrument to tune. Once you've got it tuned, it kind of plays itself. So you just sort of have to understand it. Once you understand it, then you can play little one-finger melodies. That's all you have to play is one note at a time. It just sounds really great.
All right, George, I really, really appreciate you taking the time, a second time, to sit down with me and talk about all this stuff. Is there anything that you really wanted to cover that we haven't mentioned or covered?
I don't think so, Matt. I think it's really nice that you've got, I don't really think of myself as having that many fans. I think you've got the fans. They happen to know who I am, and I'm really pleased that you brought them to me. And I'm really glad that people care about this stuff and that they care about it off the beaten track. You know, they're not just saying, oh, well, the new, you know, the new first-person shooter sucks and the old first-person shooter is better. And, you know, I mean, you're getting into some really classy stuff with this unicycle dog bedsheet thing. I really like this. So much love and adoration to all of your fans. And if they like what I do, that's really cool too. And hey, everybody, be nice to each other. And I think that covers pretty much everything for now.
All right, well, legends and myths?
Legends and myths.
What about them?
And that's all for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Should be back next week with another retrospective. If you have a game that you'd particularly like to see me review, feel free to suggest it in the comments box or send me a message. I'll be sure to consider that. As always, I want to thank you if you have supported the show. And guys, if you're still on the fence, you should really pony up soon because episode 150 is coming up. And I have a special little surprise in store for all of my fans and supporters, so stay tuned for that. Now, what about that ale of the week? This week we have something that looks really special, really evil. This is the Outer Darkness Russian-style Imperial Stout brewed in Salt Lake City. It is 10.5% alcohol, so quite strong. Actually, this I think the image on this bottle reminds me of the old Shadowgate game, if you remember that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They say that we hope you have as much fun drinking this as they did making it. I'm pretty sure we can manage that. So let's get this Outer Darkness open and into the rather excellent drinking horn and see what it's all about. All right, so let's try some of this Outer Darkness. I guess Outer Darkness is probably preferable to Inner Darkness, but you know, on second thought, I guess you'd want your innards to be in the dark. But anyway, let's give this a taste. Or first a smell, I'm sorry. That smells really nice. Kind of a Pennzoil, maybe a bit of castor oil in there. Just kidding. It's a really pleasant smell. Get that sort of coffee flavor that's a kind of chocolatey coffee thing that you get with these darker brews. Now this is very, very strong. About to knock me on my ass. As a matter of fact, this is quite a 10.5. Feels more like about a 20%, almost like drinking some type of liquor, or liqueur maybe. It's very sweet, sort of mildly bitter, really thick, chocolatey kind of thing. You definitely wouldn't want to quaff too much of this in one sitting. I can tell you that. You know, rather pleasant. It is, though, quite strong. I really enjoy it, though. I'm always a big fan of a good stout ale. And speaking of ale, that brings me to the quotation. And it goes something like this. I love to sing, and I love to drink ale. Most people would probably prefer to hear me drink ale. That's a little quotation adapted from Mr. George Burns. See you guys next week.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good. That is good.